next speaker is Julie Donnelly, Head of Infrastructure Access Programs at Tyndall National Institute. She joined in 1985 as its first engineer and over the years has coordinated many research projects. Through her work, she has helped the Tyndall Institute to build a global network which shares knowledge, resources, and infrastructure access. Julie will enlighten us as to how John Tyndall's 19th century research is inspiring the work of her and her colleagues in Tyndall National Institute today.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you for the invitation to speak today. I'll just share my screen here and have some slides on the legacy of John Tyndall and how it associates with us at Tyndall in Cork. My name, as you heard, is Julie Donnelly, and I look after access programs at Tyndall. So I'd like to begin maybe just explaining a little bit about us. So we were founded in 1982. We were originally called the NMRC, and we're in an old building that also happens to be 200 years old, right in the heart of Cork City. And when we were started, we were only 40 staff, and now we have expanded over the years, and we are now, since 2004, called the Tyndall National Institute. And we are here right in downtown Cork, as I said, right beside the Mercy Hospital. And we have plans for a major expansion to double in size by the year 2025, where we also hope to have a new building across the river. So I hope you keep an ear out for Tyndall National Institute over the next few years as you hear about our exciting plans to expand and double our numbers and double our impact. So what do we do at Tyndall? Well, we have two main research strands. The first one is in micro and nanosystems research. And this is research where we really look at how we can operate electronics at the micro and nano scale. When we talk about micro, we're talking about 1/1,000,000th the size of a meter. So if my hair, the diameter of my hair is in the order of 60 microns, you can imagine how tiny our devices are. And we also operate at the nano level, and nanometers is 1/1,000,000th of a meter, so you can see how absolutely tiny our devices are. Our second big research stream then is in photonics, and this would be an area that would be probably of more interest even than electronics to John Tyndall, because it is all about the manipulation of light, an area that he is most famous for. And we have a large photonics centre where we have people working on all aspects of light, the electronics side and also the application side. And we're underpinned at Tyndall with a group called the Specialty Products and Services Group. And what they do is they look after all of the infrastructure that we have, because we've about 50 labs at Tyndall working on all the various aspects of research. And they also develop and work on the product side with our commercial team to translate our research into devices that can be used for applications outside of the research space. So just briefly in numbers now, we're up to 560 researchers. We have 40 researchers in residence on site because, as I said, we work very closely with industry. We also have industry partners worldwide, at least 200 partners working around the globe with us on our collaborative research. We have a big student population, 130 graduate students, and that keeps us really fresh with new ideas all the time on our research. We're very multicultural. We've over 50 nationalities now at Tyndall. And as I said, we've massive infrastructure, 250 million worth of infrastructure allows us to do these very advanced research topics. We are a publicly funded research institute. We're part of UCC, but we have to go and earn our research funding. So we competitively bid for research funding, and 80% of our income comes through competition. A lot of that money comes from Europe as well as national sources. We're a national research centre, so we apply for funding through Science Foundation Ireland, Enterprise Ireland, IDA. But we also have a big footprint in European research, and we have 90 research programmes under the latest Horizon 2020 funding. So our total income per year is in the order of €40 million. We're judged on our research outputs in terms of scientific publications. We have over 200 research papers per year. But very importantly, we also have about 10 spin-outs since our foundation. And they are companies that have come from our research at Tyndall. So really, we are a very diverse research organisation with very strong outputs, both in scientific numbers and in our impact on industry as well. So how does this relate to John Tyndall? How can we correlate his science with what we're doing today at Tyndall? Well, the very first point is his commitment to excellent science, and that is what Tyndall is also all about. So we are all about science from atoms to systems is our tagline. So what we do is our research is looking at the very fundamentals of atoms, just what John Tyndall would have been doing when he started out on his research career. So really looking at materials research, looking at the modelling, synthesizing, processing new materials. We also look at then the devices that we can make with those, electronics devices, photonics devices, fabricating them in our advanced facilities. Then putting these into circuits where we join up the individual devices into circuits and looking at a huge, wide variety of research aspects to our circuits. And then systems, can we integrate everything together to make something that can work then in the real world, and making smart sensors or optical communication platforms, for example. So this is a range of science that we do. And really, I think that ties us into John Tyndall's other real passion, which was, how do you demonstrate all this excellent science? So we understand it, we can model it, we can make it, but how do we demonstrate that those ideas really work and have scientific value? Well, we do that all the time, because part of what we consider our strengths is the fact that we can make devices and prove then that they can work in the scenarios that we initially just work out on paper or on our computer simulations. So these are just some examples, because I just don't have time, unfortunately, today to go into the broad range of what we do at Tyndall, but I just picked one or two examples here. The first one on the left is actually a researcher who's developing fundamentally new materials that will be used, for example, in our how we store our memories in our computing devices. And why I picked this one is because when they were demonstrating that they could make these materials, they took this, it's like a photograph, but we call it a micrograph of their material. And it was published in one of the top journals, the Journal of Applied Physics. And why I picked it is that they used the name Tyndall to show, to demonstrate that their materials work. And I would not think that 200 years ago, when Tyndall was born, he would have ever expected his name would be in lights in such a prestigious journal. Or maybe he would. We also work at the nanoscale, and these are examples of nanowires that are built at Tyndall and made into devices that are sub 20 nanometer scale. So we have that capability at Tyndall. We also have a capability, and we're world leading in the production of light from our quantum dot devices. And that demonstration that we can actually generate photons is one of the reasons why we are positioning Ireland and Tyndall at the forefront of the new revolution, which is not back from microelectronics that we saw in the last 20 to 40 years. But the future is in quantum, and we, through our demonstration, will be able to lead the way on the next revolution. I think John Tyndall will be hugely impressed with this and would love to see this happening for photonics. The other thing that John Tyndall was really interested in was not just excellent science or demonstrating it, but also on the applications then, so that we could improve people's lives and use our scientific abilities to do this. And we are hugely concentrated on applications right across from agri-tech and food security, where we use our sensors for clean water and to monitor the soil and make sure that there's no contamination there for clean food, and also security of that food as it makes its journey all the way from farm to fork. In life sciences, we have a massive team working on health and applications, not just the researchers in Tyndall, but working directly with the clinicians so that we can quickly move our sensors and our new research out into being used in medical applications. Our micro and macro energy, of course, the green economy is so important now. And we have groups again working on looking at, minimizing the energy that's used, replacing batteries with gathering the energy from the ambient, from vibration, from heat, from solar, so that we can actually avoid using batteries and really make everything much more sustainable for the long haul. And then, of course, continued information and communications technology so that our internet works faster, our phones can store more, we can take pictures and have more meetings like this across the internet. And I think if John Tyndall was around today, he would just be, really in awe of the work that is going on in photonics in terms of all these activities across displays and lighting, medical devices. We have students, our PhD students are over working with the surgeons to put photonics devices right on the surgical instruments, and they're able to detect immediately what is the nature of the tissue that they're working on. Has it cancer cells or not? There and then, right part of the operation. And the analysis that we know now today is so important is all based on photonics devices. The other aspect of John Tyndall's life was teaching. And at Tyndall, not only are we at the forefront of research, at the forefront of application spaces and working with industry, but fundamentally we teach science to the next generation. And these are just some of our students. As I said, 130 students make for a very dynamic institute at Tyndall. And I could just imagine John Tyndall would be there and engaging on a daily basis with our students. And they also come from all over the world. And these are some of our summer interns that come usually every summer to Tyndall and take away the most amazing and exciting stories from their time with us. And also, probably his most famous aspect was his public outreach, and he was world renowned for his public demonstrations. And that's something at Tyndall that's really important to us. So we do a lot of public outreach. We engage, for example, on Culture Night, but we also have schools in all the time. We go out to people. And this picture here is of some of our TY students that come in and really engage with us for a week where they can spend time with our researchers. So just treading in the footsteps of Tyndall's love and passion for public outreach. So that gives you a brief overview, I hope, of how we have kept on the legacy of John Tyndall and how we're so proud to share his name. And I'd like to really thank you for this opportunity and to thank Dermot for all that he has done to keep the legacy, not just of the science, but also of the scientists. So with that, I conclude and say thank you and say happy birthday to John Tyndall from all of us at Tyndall. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julie, for your talk. And it's great to see how John's research is relevant today and is inspiring so many new developments and discoveries too. Best wishes with the expansion plans as well. And if you want to know more about Julie and Tyndall National Institute, you can follow them on Twitter at Tyndall Institute.
And with a bit of luck now, we have Julie Donnelly. Let's see whether we can bring Julie in here. Julie, can you hear us?
I can. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for the invitation. It's been an amazing hour listening to that extraordinary lecture. Thank you.
Great. So any questions for Julie? Put them in the Facebook comments box. My first question for you, though, Julie, is not that I'm looking for a job or to study, but what qualifications do I need to study in the Tyndall National Institute?
Well, the good news is that we have a huge range of opportunities for people to come and join us at Tyndall. So we have over 500 researchers, and about 130 of those are doing PhDs. So if you're a graduate of science, of maths, chemistry, any materials or engineering, there's always a place for you. We're always recruiting, we're doubling in size. So generally, anything in the sciences, any graduate or senior scientists beyond PhD, you're more than welcome. We have loads of opportunities for you.
Okay, fantastic. So you've heard it here first. Niamh, another great question. So let's so Niamh talks about the human memory devices you're working on. Can you expand on them, please?
Human memory. Well, we're working on advanced memory devices. So these would all be within the chips that we make. So one of the problems with anyone when we're making chips, or from your phone as well, we always want more storage and want more memory. As we shrink everything, of course, we want that memory to be very stable. So we're looking at lots of new materials to make better memories that can be made smaller and can, if you like, have higher performance, so that when you're making your video on your phone or on your device, that you can store more and more in a smaller and smaller space. So lots of material science going on, looking at what aspects of memory we can make. And then how do you, the circuit side of that is how do you capture out that information quickly so that people can get it in a very high speed manner. I hope that answers Niamh's question.
Super. No, that's brilliant. Now we don't. I didn't want to bring COVID up, but someone asked, what's the Tyndall National Institute's role been in the HSC's COVID-19 tracking app?
Okay, well, we've done a lot of different aspects with COVID, but of course, everything we do at Tyndall, we do in collaboration with other people. So it's not just Tyndall doing something, but one of our big contributions has been where, if one of the symptoms of COVID is an increase in temperature. So we're working with other clinicians and other researchers across Ireland to come up with a way that for medics, for example, their temperature is being monitored all the time, and then that information is sent back to Central. On the COVID tracker, we had a very tiny role. All that work is being done by a group in Waterford. We just consulted on the Bluetooth, how that might work, so that that COVID tracker depends on you having your connection with the next phone. So a tiny, tiny part, but we were very, very pleased to be able to give some of our support on that.
I'd be very proud of that. That's fantastic.
Definitely.
So will the research of the Tyndall National Institute see the end of batteries?
Oh, we'd love that, wouldn't we all? Especially here, I'm charging every device I have here as best I can. And, there is a great move towards solar, towards, more renewable energy. And what we would love is that eventually, if there's a way of capturing some of the energy that's already around us into your device, that you would use that. For example, if you're going along in your car and there's vibration there, that maybe some of that energy that's just there for free, if you like, could be used to recharge some of the batteries. I don't think we'll ever get away from them altogether, but what we would like to do is to minimize the use so that they last longer, and that we can, keep everything as green as possible. We're hugely committed to a green future at Tyndall. So absolutely, yeah, we'd love to get rid of them altogether, or at least integrate them onto the chip. So maybe we don't have to use the kind of batteries we use now, but maybe cleaner, more efficient battery.
Brilliant. And someone else asked, what is the quantum opportunity?
Oh, wow. So you have another hour of a lecture, I hope. Quantum is... I think with quantum, we're back, where John Tyndall must have been trying to figure out, okay, we can see all this, but can we actually prove it? Can we use it? Is it any good? So what quantum is all about is really that instead of just having all ones and noughts that we have in our normal digital world at the moment, with quantum, we have a chance, instead of just operating between those two on and off states, to operate in multiple states and not just do one thing at a time, but operate at many different things at the same time. So instead of it taking maybe 100 years for a supercomputer, we could actually use our quantum computers to calculate something in minutes instead of years, or even maybe can never be done. So the quantum opportunity for Ireland then is quantum opportunity means that we can do something better with quantum than we can do with classic. But the opportunity for Ireland is that we have some of the best researchers in this field at Tyndall and in other universities in Ireland, and in Trinity and in UCD, UCC, all working together. And what we think we can do is we can put Ireland to the front of that. So we'll be at the front of the quantum revolution as it comes, and work with other companies are starting this already. This isn't just all on paper. But how can we really make it work, and how can we bring quantum computing in as we have with classic computing?
Okay, wow, that's fantastic. And this is just me being nosy here. You
Sure.
said your building is 200 years old.
Yes.
What was it used for before it turned into the Tyndall National Institute?
Well, we're very lucky in a sense that our building is an old building. So it's like going into the TARDIS. It looks really old on the outside, but when you go inside, we've taken all the inside out, and we have the most amazing labs and fabs, and it's all state of the art. But before we moved in, it started its life as a mill, a grain mill, and then it became a brewery. And then they had a maltings for whiskey. So we think there's still some whiskey fumes in our old walls. At least that's what we tell ourselves late at night. Is there something going on here? So we're really proud of our building. We love the fact that it's 200 years old, and yet it has we've just purchased the most state-of-the-art, up-to-date equipment and placed it within that setting. So yeah, we love our building. We're really, really, really proud of it.